Prime Minister pays tribute to journalists. PNGDF troop deployment to Hela set for this weekend. And 5-year-old boy still missing in Leh.
We're still doing our analysis.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Friday's news. Papua New Guinea has lost some of its great communication experts who have left a vacuum in the media industry. This is from Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. Today he paid his last respects to veteran journalist the late Susuve Laumaya. The Prime Minister also extended his condolences to another veteran journalist, Hosea Philemon, who passed away on Christmas Eve. Both Laumaya and Philemon were champions of truth in the media industry.
The funeral service of the late Susuve Laumaya was held at the Sioni Kamin Memorial Church in Port Moresby. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and several other ministers, including former Gulf Governor Chris Iveta and Communication Minister Jimmy Miring Toro, were present to bid their last respect to one of the country's most outstanding journalists.
One of the many other talents that he has had was, of course, communications. He was a great writer. The standards that he has set in journalism for this country is beyond some of the journalism writings that we have today. Many of the stories that they have covered were fair, factual, always well researched.
Mr. O'Neill said the late Laumaya was a great writer with factual information who sets a standard in journalism. PNG Media Council President Alexandra Rini said Laumaya left behind a legacy of passion for being the voice of the voiceless. During his time in the mainstream media, he held the government of the day accountable with his stories.
Susuve belonged to a special group of Papua New Guinean journalists. They held a profession at heart. They were passionate. They were committed to the cause. Press freedom was at the center of everything that they did in the 70s up until now. It is unfortunate that we continue to witness the passing of a number of great journalists and great writers like Susuve Laumaya.
Sawato Hahambu, National EMTV News.
Today was also a sad day for Leh's media fraternity. Media great Hosea Philemon was honored by family, friends and colleagues in his hometown at midday. The celebration of his life and work was led by Reverend Gary Mangiri at the St. Paul's Lutheran Parish. While colleagues recalled his last legacies, it was his second daughter, Ludwina Philemon, who spoke of how she and her siblings shared their father with the rest of the nation through the pages of daily newspapers. She added how dedicated Philemon was to his job and family. The Hiritano and Magi Highway are the lifeline for the people of Central Province, and the construction of 7 new permanent bridges linking the 2 major highways is set to improve access to Port Moresby for locals. It is part of the Asian Development Bank's bridge replacement for improved rural access called BRI-RAP project. It is jointly funded by the national government and the Asian Development Bank to the tune of 91 million kina.
The 91 million kina Package 1 covers 7 bridges, 3 in Hiritano and 4 on the Magi Highway to improve Papua New Guinea's 2-lane national and rural access road network. Yesterday afternoon, Works Department engineers conducted a site inspection of the Lalaki and Brown River bridges, which are part of this package. The Lalaki River Bridge is a 4-lane 80 meters bridge to accommodate the 4 lanes from 9 Mile Runabout to Lalaki.
This is a 2-lane. The next 2-lane will be done after we allow the traffic to flow on this one. We should have left this one in order to allow traffic when we complete the other one, but because the contractor's time is limited, we would like to allow traffic to flow on this one, and then we'll work on the other one. Until we complete both of them, the government will obviously set the time to obviously open these 2 bridges. The contract started 24 months ago, and we are now due for completions. The bridge work has substantially been completed on time. Obviously, there'll be additional variations like the additional ones that we had, but otherwise we are happy with the progress of the contractor. That the contractor has done a pretty good job out of all the 7 bridges along Magi Highway. There's 3 bridges here that has been substantially completed, as the Deputy Secretary has said, and the next, the other 4 bridges are due for substantial completion at the end of the construction period, which is about February.
Meanwhile, the Brown River Bridge is a 2-lane, 80 meters bridge. MTV News spoke to a local who says they're pleased to see developments in the area.
Bridges have been down. We place have try seal or carry have go out mostly or come back to the place. Yeah, we place have make most. Look, me bless now. How me place have come. So now me bless look me say, but China about come put in this bridge. Me bless this community even this community one time me go same law. German na make you na quanta lo tapini lo place pro me go ilala. Yeah, and me bless kita me bless mas.
According to Works Department, traffic is expected to be allowed soon. Contractor China Harbour Engineering Company Limited will demobilize the old bridge structure and use it somewhere where the bridge is needed.
Importantly, before we normally give priority to the roads alone, but when times pass by, we saw that this bridge is also important, so the government has taken the initiative to do the permanent bridges now. All our bridges are temporary bridges, so I think we are starting to do the permanent bridges now, so which is good to see that some of the donors are giving prominence to bridge program as well in the country now.
Merlin Daukatam, National MTV News.
The PNG Defence Force will deploy 150 troops to Hela to restore law and order in the province. The deployment comes after a state of emergency was declared in the province in December 2016. PNGDF Chief of Joint Operations, Colonel Ezekiel Wenzel, said the soldiers are ready for the Hela operation and will be flying out this weekend. The operation is in line with the national gun control effort.
The 150 troops are from the 1st Royal Pacific Islands Regiment at Tarama Barracks, Fields Intelligence Company from Murray Barracks in Port Moresby, and the Engineering Battalion from Lays Igam Barracks. The soldiers from Igam have flown into Port Moresby today and are now awaiting further orders.
Papua New Guinea Defence Force Task Force in support of the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary in the effort in Hela is well underway, has been prepared.
This operation is conducted by the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary and the Hela provincial government. The PNG Defence Force are only supporting the operation. It is predicted the operation will be completed after 2 months.
We will work closely with the police and also with the Hela provincial administration and the communities, the society of Hela. It will be a collective effort, and we will collaborate with them to ensure that every stakeholder's effort is seen to be in motion.
However, if there is a need for additional manpower, a team of soldiers from the 2nd Pacific Islands Regiment in Wiwek's Moyem Barracks will be called in to assist.
Another further company from the 2nd Battalion is Royal Pacific Islands Regiment based in Wibek are also being placed on standby.
Tekla Gunga, National MTV News.
Port Moresby police are closing in on all suspects allegedly involved in the 1.2 million kina heist. In recent arrests, Sergeant Stephen Numbos, a mobile squad commander, was charged with 2 counts of armed robbery and willful murder. Numbos has been refused police bail and is being remanded at the Waigani police station. Both charges are not related. Police allege that Numbos gave his firearm to the criminals who used it in the airport robbery. On his second charge, it is alleged that Numbos fired a gun which killed a betel nut vendor in 2016. Among stories after the break, a 5-year-old boy is still missing in Lae. Stay with us. Welcome back. Residents of Garahu Stage 5 and 6 in Port Moresby have been disturbed by the stinky foul smell from the outflowing sewage. The sewage is a health hazard since October last year. DW journalism student Gaile Kivali brings us this story.
Since last year, this sewage system was blocked, causing disgusting smell coming out from these pipes. Residents here told EMTV News this has become a health hazard.
Yes, especially smell blow toilet, especially smell blow sewage. I'm sa barang lo night, even lo daytime wasem too. Time plus stop. Even I'm sa go lo throughout all residential area lo 5, 6, even 7 at this area also.
Although reported 3 months ago, nothing was done by authorities to rectify this problem. As a result, many have fallen ill.
La iwan of the family misa go help mol go stawan tamol. Mol sick through la sewage spill over especially TB, also sick TB.
A contractor who cleans the treatment pond says the blockage was caused by illegal solid waste dumping.
Chalim rim. Deti rim one of bottle come dambi mandap nothing luen. All kisim gen. Chalim go and them. All no pasim. This la ogata manual one employment finish luen all no pasim so got big la all. Trabla stop was a waraja polo come out. Outlets on gap stop luen wara wanda mo chalim go and Narimem stop but me go down no operations. One blind am go and so I'm no work blow me. So no good me go lim na rausim on jaga no good me panim sick or no good me put on gunjetla.
While residents were complaining about the sewage outflow, Edaranu arrived at the scene to remove the blockage. After 3 months of the disturbing smell from the outflowing sewage, Edaranu has now removed the blockage, causing the sewage to flow through its normal process. Gaile Kivali, National EMTV News.
Long-time residents in Lae City are questioning the prolonged delays by relevant authorities to fix its roads, drainage systems, grass cutting and the general cleanliness in the industrial hub. Today, EMTV tried to gauge public opinion over how long the state of the roads will remain, most of which are the economical corridors of this country. The residents want something done about it before the national general election.
Most of the business houses are situated along this road, and this is where most of the money generated for the country comes from. Freddie Elisha, who was born and raised in Lae, has been working with the DHL Express for 8 years now, but he says the state of the road hasn't changed much.
Every day museums la road am condition yet bagarab no through potol drainage system too need him. All responsible authority looks and maintaining road, I think, walking Nubla Road.
Another problem is the poor drainage system. Almost all of the drains in and around the country's second city either has weeds growing in them or debris and sediments blocking off the outlet, causing blockage, thus causing another health hazard to commuters and employees of business houses working nearby.
Our main road, especially our Gaman Road here, we'll get a booster and come up now.
The Morobe provincial government has passed 424 million kina of the provincial budget in December last year. For this year, 7.5 million kina was allocated to Lae City Road, drainage and grass cutting. James Kosa has been living in Lae for as long as he remembers. He is optimistic the money allocated will improve the general outlook of the city.
Government need law straight in this road. Na bayo you can stop with cleaning city na bayo stop.
Mataluwis, National EMTV News, Lae.
A 5-year-old boy is still missing in Lae after a month of searching, and the family still cannot locate him. While the father has returned to work for financial support, Damien Michael's family are still looking for him. Damien went missing at the Vocal Point beachfront on November 26th last year. Bethany Herman with this report from Lae.
5-year-old Damien Michael is still missing since the 26th of November. His father, Michael Nining, is still looking for his son after nearly a month. He had to return to work this week for financial support.
I was away for 1 month, 2 weeks, and I was coming back to work because work is, is a lifeline and it's bread and butter. So I decided to come back to work.
Michael Ninning's brothers have been brought in from the Western Highlands to continue the search.
My brothers at home.
Michael says the family is still looking for their son and there is a reward.
The family has made it clear that they have a reward for anybody that brings Damien safe and sound back to them. And they've also called on the general public for any information. The matter has been reported to police as well.
So we're still putting notices up. We're still doing awarenesses. If someone come across to my little son, Damien, they can report to me or report to UMTV guys or report to police so that there is a reward of 3,000 kina still existing.
Damien Michael went missing at the Voco Point beachfront on the 26th of November during a picnic with family friends. The 5-year-old was playing among 10 other children when he went missing. The family have searched Finschhafen, Salamoa and along the Huon Peninsula. Bethany Harriman, National MTV News, Lae.
The New Ireland provincial government wants a drug-free society and will ensure law and order takes its full force on persons found to be growing and consuming marijuana. Governor Sir Julius Chan said those found will be dealt with under the law. This was a decision passed in the first government situation group meeting in Kavieng this week, which set the provincial roadmap for this year.
One of the major concerns was marijuana. Governor Sir Julius said target will be on areas growing marijuana and communities exhibiting drug-related behavior by its youth. A special task force will be engaged to clamp down on the cultivation and drug production, which will see the repatriation of perpetrators. Those caught will be charged and forcefully evicted, blacklisted and disqualified from all government subsidy policy benefits. Those charged under vagrancy laws will be sent back to their home provinces and respective council areas for the indigenous people and will be banned from entering Kavieng and Namatanai towns. The government will apply another penalty for drug offenders who seek medical treatment to pay 200 kina penalty fee and will be last on the queue for treatment at hospitals and health posts. Fabian Hakritz, National MTV News.
A new health center will be built at Huris in the Namatanai district to address the growing health problems in New Ireland province. Governor Sir Julius Chan says he wants health standards in the province to be raised. Tinkoris will be the first model health center with a full array of medical services and doctors, operating theatre and 42-bed inpatient ward, maternity ward, nursery and modern equipment with staff housing and power. China Harbour Engineering Company has won the bid to construct the 4.7 million kina government project that will commence this month. Governor Sir Julius is happy to see his government's policy objective and commitment being delivered. And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3150 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3075, $0.4167 Australian dollars, $0.2876 euro and 35.22 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and cocoa closed higher, while copra closed the day lower. Palm oil, crude oil and copper all closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 42 points lower, the ASX is trading at 2 points higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 4 points higher. You're with National MTV News. Stories making headlines overseas when we come back, including the biblical magic parade of the Epiphany. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, the Biblical Magic Parade through Madrid generated excitement amongst thousands of children celebrating the eve of the Epiphany. Amid tight security, thousands of excited children and adults lined Madrid's main boulevard yesterday evening as Melchior, Balthazar and Caspar led a theatrical parade with colorful floats, performers and animals.
Those taking part in the parade tossed sweets into the crowds to celebrate the Epiphany, the day when the biblical three kings are said to have visited the infant Christ with gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Traditionally, on the eve of the Epiphany, January 5, parades take place in Spanish villages, towns and cities throughout the country. Three Kings Day on January 6 is a momentous day for many in Spain, and children often wait until then to open their presents. This year's security was heightened in light of the attack in a Berlin market in December. For the first time, bollards and barriers were set up in Madrid to avoid attacks similar to those in Berlin and Nice. Vehicles weighing more than 3,500 kilograms were banned in the Spanish capital ahead of the parade and immediately after it. The security measures were also in place on January 3 and 4, with smaller parades took place in different neighborhoods of Madrid. Merlin Diaukatam, EMTV World News.
There has been a slight improvement in Beijing's pollution in the last 24 hours, but next week's forecast shows conditions are expected to worsen again. And as the pollution hangs over the city, some of the wealthiest residents are taking measures to safeguard their health. But it is a costly fight.
For much of 3-month-old Anna's life, her world has looked like this, a toxic cloud of smog that has choked Beijing for the better part of 2 weeks. The air has been more than 50 times worse than what the World Health Organization says is safe. For her mom, Wang Jiang, it was too much.
Her life just began, and the air she breathing in and out is such a bad quality. I couldn't sleep. I literally 2 nights continuously and couldn't sleep.
So in the pursuit of cleaner air for Anna and her big sister, 6-year-old Mia, Jiang and her husband opened their wallets. $7,500 for 8 air purifiers, $500 every few weeks to change the filters inside, and another $5,000 for an in-wall ventilation system that pumps out filtered air.
That's very expensive, but think about the house, there's nothing to trade off, you know.
Spending however much money is necessary to keep your family healthy is something a lot of people would probably do. But the reality is that the fight against pollution can cost a lot. And in many of Beijing's poorer neighborhoods like this one, most people can't afford to do much more than buy a cheap, disposable pollution mask.
That's about all Ho Chuan-fu can do. Inside his small home in a Beijing back alley, there's no air purifiers, no expensive filtration system, just poorly insulated windows and frustration. We're helpless, he says, but what choice do we have? We can't do anything about it, so we just face it. All I can do is try to avoid going out when it's smoggy. He's like so many others in Beijing, dealing with pollution that can blanket the city in just 20 minutes, like in this time-lapse shot in the business district. It's always worse in the winter when coal use spikes due to falling temperatures, but predictability doesn't make it any better. We hope the government will treat this issue seriously, says Ho. Everyone wants to see the blue skies, but right now, it's impossible. For now, he'll just wait out the smog in a cramped living room. It's a stark contrast from Wang Jiang and her family. Every part of their lives indoors is clean and filtered, and they say they know how lucky they are to be able to afford that. But when 6-year-old Mia goes to school, only a panda-dotted pollution mask stands between her and this. Because once outside, whether you're rich or poor, everybody breathes toxic air together.
U.S. President-elect Donald Trump wasn't there, but his presence was very much in the room as the U.S. Senate committee held a hearing on alleged Russian meddling in the presidential election. 3 top intelligence officials testified, all insisting that Russia hacked computers of political organizations and floated fake news in an effort to interfere with the election.
Casting doubt on the intelligence community's assessment, and today we learned that these intelligence leaders are more resolute than they've ever been about the assessment that Russia was responsible for the hacks during the election, and the leaders also said that Russia continues to hack and push out fake news even today.
Tradecraft that the Russians have long used.
Today, the nation's top spy, not mincing words in his defense of the U.S. intelligence assessment that Russia is to blame for the unprecedented hacks during the 2016 election.
I don't think that we've ever encountered a more aggressive or direct campaign to interfere in our election process than we've seen in this case.
And insisting their confidence has only increased.
We stand actually more resolutely on the strength of that statement that we made on the 7th of October.
James Clapper, along with both Democrat and Republican lawmakers, sending a strong message in the wake of Donald Trump's repeated public statements doubting the intelligence.
Who actually is the benefactor of someone who is about to become commander-in-chief trashing the intelligence community?
I think there's a difference between skepticism and disparagement.
Putin's up to no good, and he better be stopped. And Mr. President-elect, when you listen to these people, you can be skeptical, but understand they're the best among us, and they're trying to protect us.
Clapper revealing today that a comprehensive report into the Democratic Party hacks will lay out not just what the Russians did, but why they did it. Among the motivations expected in the report, set to be released Monday, an effort to tip the election in Trump's favor.
There are actually more than one motive. That'll be described in the report. I assure you that I intend to push the envelope as much as I can on, particularly on the unclassified version, because I think the public should know as much about this as possible.
Clapper told the committee the hacks were only one part of a broader effort by Russia.
This was a multifaceted campaign. The hacking was only one part of it, and it also entailed classical propaganda, disinformation, fake news.
Does that continue?
Yes.
Intelligence officials say it's clear the man behind it all is Vladimir Putin.
You say you think this was approved at the highest level of government in Russia, generally speaking, is that right?
That's what we said.
Okay, who's the highest level of government?
Well, the highest is President Putin.
Do you think a lot happens in Russia big that he doesn't know about?
Not very many.
Yeah, I don't think so
Certainly
either.
None that are politically sensitive in another country.
President Obama received his comprehensive briefing on the report that's been put together about the Russian hack today. And then tomorrow, DNI Chief James Clapper, as well as other intelligence leaders, will brief President-elect Trump in New York. Of course, this will be the first time that they're facing each other after what seems to be a growing divide. And so it will be very interesting, Amra, to see the outcome of that briefing.
In several former Soviet republics, top security officials and even a former president are saying "I told you so" amid allegations of possible Russian hacking targeting the U.S. presidential election campaign. They said, "We're facing Russian propaganda, information warfare, and even psychological warfare almost daily."
Supported by its eastern neighbor, Russia, in a conflict that has claimed more than 10,000 lives and displaced some 2 million people. A shaky ceasefire is barely holding.
But this isn't just a conflict being fought with bullets and bombs. Ukraine says it's recently survived at least 10 major cyber attacks that have targeted organizations like the State Railroad Company, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Infrastructure, agencies that a society needs to function normally.
So far, Ukrainian officials aren't publicly blaming the latest cyber assault on anyone. But Ukrainian and American investigators did blame Russian hackers for a separate attack on an electric company in December 2015. It cut power completely in more than 100 cities across the country. Officials in other former Soviet republics like Latvia say they too are frequently targets of their Russian neighbor.
We're facing those challenges on whole fronts. Information warfare goes on daily basis. We're facing Russian propaganda, information warfare, and even psychological warfare.
It's not easy to pinpoint the source of a cyber attack, but experts here argue they appear to be state-sponsored.
Some of the programs that we've seen, it is very evident that no commercial criminal sector or hacktivist would be ready to invest time and resources to such an elaborate program.
When former Soviet Republic Georgia went to war with Russia in 2008, the deadly battles were accompanied by hackers attacking Georgian government websites. Former Georgian President Mikhail Saakashvili accuses Moscow of further meddling during elections 4 years later.
In 2012, they were heavily involved in Georgian elections. They've done cyber attacks or different time periods. They've done all kinds of media provocations. They've spread rumors. They've sent operatives to do all kinds of dirty tricks.
But Russia does not have the monopoly on cyber warfare tactics. A computer virus called Stuxnet was discovered in Iran's Natanz nuclear facility in 2010. It caused centrifuges to spin out of control and destroy themselves. Though no government officially claimed responsibility, many experts accuse the U.S. and Israel of carrying out the attack. The threat of a possible cyber war could take our interconnected, highly computerized society into uncharted territory.
South Korea is ramping up its rhetoric against Pyongyang with a new threat: "Come at us and we'll cut off the head of the snake." The country is speeding up plans to set up what some call a decapitation unit, a brigade specifically tasked with targeting North Korea's wartime command, including leader Kim Jong-un, according to a South Korea Defense Ministry official. The unit will be activated in the event of war, the official said. Technically, South Korea and North Korea are still at war. They signed an armistice in 1953, but not a treaty. The brigade was initially supposed to be ready in 2019, but the Defense Ministry now says it will be established by this year.
Clear step in the rising tensions between North and South Korea coming out of Seoul today, when the Defence Ministry said that they were bringing forward a program to develop a unit which would be basically capable of taking out the key leadership of North Korea in the event of war being declared on the peninsula. South Korea saying that this unit, a brigade-strong unit, will be in operation by the end of this year. Earlier, they said that they were putting together this unit, but it wouldn't be operational until the end of 2019. But they are moving forward on that now. We don't know a lot of the details at this stage. It will be armed with cutting-edge hardware, both in armoury, in transport and in telecommunications. And its mode will be to infiltrate North Korea, take out key command and control leadership, which would include Kim Jong-un, and also secure weapons of mass destruction, WMD sites. The timing of this coming from South Korea is interesting. It comes just a few days after Kim Jong-un said that his country was in the final preparation of launching an intercontinental ballistic missile. It also comes just a couple of weeks after local television in North Korea showed pictures of North Korean troops storming a mock-up of the Blue Palace, which is actually the presidential palace here in South Korea. Some critics, though, are saying that this news from South Korea is hoping, or at least the government hopes, the president hopes, will divert attention away from her own corruption problems. President Park Geun-hye facing an impeachment trial, and some say that this is one way to deflect the gaze away from that. But whatever it is, one thing is for certain: tensions in the Korean peninsula continue to rise.
Chukai Sports is next. 70 days left for the PNG Games. That story when we return.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. Today marks exactly 3 weeks before the CPL PNG Lawas make their appearance in the Cricket Women's World Cup qualifiers in Colombo, Sri Lanka. And coach Rodney Maha has set pace on their path to Colombo with the rigorous training they have been undergoing in the last 2 months.
This has become a routine for the Lawas in the last few weeks. With only 3 weeks of training left, Maha is making sure all bases are covered in training. In a previous interview with EMTV Sports, Coach Maha said he is confident his team will cause ripples in Colombo. They will be competing in Group B with the rest of the bottom 4, which includes South Africa, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Scotland. All 3 of their opponents are threatening and the Lawas are preparing to give them a tussle. They will rest for a week before their travel date, though the squad will be announced in a few days and a travel date is yet to be confirmed. Dinero Raiko, National EMTV Sports.
With only 70 days to the 7th PNG Games in Kimbe, preparations for Team NCD will have to be rushed while making sure all necessary areas are covered before the Games on March 18th. That's from the team's general manager, who said priority areas include levy fees, logistics, accommodation and food to cover all athletes and coaches, including VIP guests and other associated costs involved.
With 70 days to PNG Games, and January is a critical month for Team NCD, says General Manager Hela, as many of the athletes went on break just after the deferral of the Games last year. He said this month all athletes will be informed to make sure they're all aware of the preparations taking place.
Well, we came second in the 2014 Games, and we were robbed of those 2014 Games because we're supposed to take part in the swimming, and unfortunately we couldn't. And then they allowed the swimming sport to go high. Our games charter allows for more than 6 provinces to take part in any one sport, and only 3 provinces took part, and we were robbed off from that. So we're very determined to make sure that we win these games.
Team NCD will have a total of 600 plus athletes, including coaches and officials, and participating in 24 different codes, excluding football and softball due to lack of communication between the code organizers and team managers. Hela said main areas to look at before the games will be logistics, accommodation, levy fees and food.
This is a new year, so obviously the NCD governor by Honorable Paul Sparkop and the city manager, no doubt, will make sure that the team takes part in the PNG Games. Obviously, if there's any shortfalls, I'm sure that the governor will come in and support the team NCD.
As a believer in youth development, Hela says PNG Games should be treated with high importance by all youths around PNG and should take it seriously when it comes to talent exposure and recognition.
PNG Games was introduced to recognize the values of all those grassroots and untapped talent, whether in the districts or in the villages, and focus being geared towards that.
Godwin Aki, National EMTV Sports.
Chukai Sports continues after the break. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back to Chukai Sports. Hela, also the president of the FAIRFAX volleyball competition, which has produced some of the best volleyballers in the country. He said 2017 may well be a year of change for the association as it strives to improve the level of competition and the involvement of young aspiring athletes.
Since taking up the post of FAIRFAX volleyball president, Killer Dick says his vision was to see a change of mindset of his volleyballers and as well as influencing the younger generation, using sports as a tool for development and change.
First one is to make sure that we come up with various competitions for the junior development and an open competition for beach volleyball. So this weekend we'll be down at the Hela beach trying to clean up the beach courts. Next weekend we're going to start a competition for the under 18 beach volleyball teams. We see the importance of our junior development.
With that, Dick hopes they can rise to the occasion and be selected to represent the national team.
We don't own these sports. We are just custodians of sports. Yep. And our job is to make sure that we give opportunities to young people.
With the inclusion of beach volleyball in the Commonwealth Games in Gold Coast, Australia, Dick says under his leadership, the association is helping these players to gear up for the qualifying events that are lined up for this year. The major events including the Mini Pacific Games, the National Championship and also the beach volleyball competition. President Dick, along with his executives, are eager to set the precedence in terms of protocol, with a stern warning that if people in the association are not complying with the rules, they will have to go.
As the new executive, we want to set new precedents as so far as our protocols and stuff like that. If you go your own way, then we will not be able to consider you. But if you follow the track of following the protocols and the arrangement that we set place, then you are part of the team.
Now moving forward, FAIRFAX volleyball competition has set the standard, providing players to the national competition as well as the national team. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
The SP-PNG Hunters are gearing up for their fourth season in the Queensland Interest Super Cup competition. Coach Michael Marum has named his final squad for this season, with the return of Israel Eliab giving him the confidence Hunters can make it to the final.
14 players from last season have made it back into the 2017 team. 6 former Hunters have also been named in the likes of Israel Eliab, Stanton Albert, Noel Joel, Lawrence Tu'u, David Loko and Willie Minoga. 9 new players have been included in this year's team, including Wellington Albert, who has never played with the Hunters.
Presto, they still have a long few more things to fix up, but no, we've been impressed with the way they've done the 3 weeks and with their experience probably will help us a lot this year. Yeah.
Missing from training was Warutuvo Puara Jr., who recently went through a major surgery on his left shoulder. He will be travelling to Brisbane for a review. Marum says he may be out till round 4 of the competition.
Hopefully, whatever we probably won't see him play until round 4, round 5. Yeah. There's no rush in getting him back. You got Noel Joel in there, got Salas, Lawrence too back in, so they're all DAMIEN players. So there's no rush to put our good players back in. So.
Size in the forward pack has been an issue for the team over the past 3 years. This year's team, Marum says, has much bigger and stronger players up front.
Yeah, I think we got a bit more size in our forward pack now, so that's probably one of the really concerns last year. We got too many old players, not old players, but just small bodies. We got Wellington back in, Stanton back in, we got Israel, we got Willie Minoga and all those big boys. So with their experience, with their weight, I think we'll probably go one better again this year. Yeah.
The Hunters will play a trial match in Cairns against Northern Pride next month, with the captain to be named later on during the Hunters season launch.
One trial only. We planned 2 trial games, but it's only back down to 1, so we're satisfied with that. Some of the boys have probably played with the Snakes Tigers, will probably go and play in Fiji.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
And that's a wrap for True Kai Sports. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow, in the southern region, a shower or 2 in Port Moresby and Kerema, and mostly fine in Daru, Alotau and Popondetta. In the Momase region, a shower or 2 in Lae, mostly fine in Medang and Wewak, and morning showers in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine in Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo and Kimbe, a shower or two in Buka. And in the Highlands region, a shower or two, then expected morning fog in all centers.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield, with doing with Dulux.
Before we go, recapping our main stories for tonight. Prime Minister O'Neill pays tribute to journalists, PNGDF troops to deploy to Hela this weekend, and 5-year-old Damien still missing in Lae. And that's been the news, sports and weather for this Friday, January 6, 2017. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team, pleasant viewing, have a safe weekend, good night.